What's going on, y'all? It's Rand. We back with another video. Today's video is going to be based on how to start an Airbnb in 2025, some things to look for, some beginner tips and tricks that you'll use along your journey. Pretty much today we're just going to go over the 4 or 5 basic steps that you will need to accomplish before opening your own Airbnb business. Alright, so let's talk about how you can get your first Airbnb in 2025 without owning any property. And again, you can do this within 60 days or less. I say 60 days because it all depends on you first and foremost, how much effort you put in, how much work you put in to get the unit, but it's totally possible to get a unit in 30 days. I've coached students to help them get their first unit within 2 weeks. So it all depends on you first and foremost. But first things first, I'm going to go ahead and explain what the business model is called. So a lot of you may be familiar with it by now, but the business model is called rental arbitrage. And in a nutshell, basically what rental arbitrage is essentially you lease a property for rent under your corporation or your entity, otherwise known as LLC, and then you sublease that property back out on OTA third-party platforms like Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, Expedia, Hotels.com, etc. Essentially, you just rent a home like you would a normal tenant, but under your corporation as a business, and then sublease the property back out. So let's jump into the first step. First things first, the first step before you do anything else is you want to register your business. Now, the way you do that, there's a lot of third-party websites that can help you create an LLC, such as busy.com. That's probably one of the most popular ones. It's what I use personally. You can also go to your state government website. You can open up an LLC through the state and do it that way. But the first things first, you need to register your business. Now, what comes with registering your business is registering your name, what you're going to be doing with the business. And after you register your business with the state, what you want to do is go apply for your EIN number. And then once you have your EIN number, for those of you who don't know, that is basically your business's social security number. It's your tax identification number. Once you have your business registered, your EIN registered and everything, then you want to go and get a Duns and Bradstreet number. Now, a Duns and Bradstreet number is typically what a lot of apartment buildings or even landlords are going to ask for, and that is the best way to track your business paydex score. Now, I'm actually going to get into that in a different video. All of these steps are crucial elements to later on down the road when you decide to scale your business, etc. So you want to make sure you have a registered business, a EIN number, and if you do a fictitious name, which is anything other than your personal name, you have to register your name as well. And you want to get a Duns and Bradstreet number. So step 1, register your business, EIN number, Duns and Bradstreet number, and register your name. Now, the reason step 1 is so important is because it's super important to separate yourself personally from the business. So you want to make sure you have that entity in place, because the way I teach my students is to lease all the properties under a corporation. So if anything were to ever go wrong or someone was trying to sue you, you have very limited liability in the company, and people cannot come and attack your assets personally under your name. So it's an essential part. You want to make sure you have your business registered the right way as well. And this is something I all help with in my mentorship course. So Step 1, register your business. Another thing to be cautious about as well, when you are opening your LLC, you want to make sure that you register your business under a low-risk industry. Now, typically what I advise my students to register their business under is management services or property management, general management, something low-risk industry, because this is going to play a vital part into when you want to get funded later on down your business to scale and use the money to furnish these properties, because banks tend to give a lot less money to the high-risk industries such as real estate. So just make sure you avoid from putting anything real estate registered under your business. And if you have any questions, just search up on Google low-risk property management industries. And now moving on to step number 2 is building your business credibility. Now, what I mean by this is typically the best way to go about this as a new business owner is to build a website and get a domain and have a landing page built. Now, basically what this is, a landing page typically lists basic information like what your business is about, where you're located, some contact information, etc. Just things about you and your business. And the reason this is important is because in the next step that we'll talk about in just a minute, you are going to need a little bit of credibility under your name, because when you do go to pitch these landlords in person and try to do cold calls and set up tours and everything, most businesses and landlords, or even apartment buildings, most of them are going to ask for like a website, your business name, and everything like that, just to verify you are who you say you are and you're doing what you say you're going to be doing. So it's very important. And the best way to usually go about this is you can either do it yourself and buy the domain from a website such as GoDaddy.com or Google Domains. And if you're not tech savvy like me, or you just simply don't have the time to do it, you can also go to Fiverr.com and you can pay someone to build a website for you as well there. I know there's a bunch of other external websites. Feel free to comment if you do have any other suggestions. But there's tons of way to go about this. It is very important. That way, when you do go to apply or cold call or tour these places in person, you have a little bit of credibility under your business. And it just verifies, you are who you say you are, and you're going to be doing exactly what you say you're going to be doing. So it'll help make this process a lot smoother, and it'll build that trust with the landlords or the apartment building property managers a lot faster, because ultimately trust is what closes deals. So it's important to build those relationships and get a good first impression. Moving on to step 3, which is probably arguably the most important step, is identifying your market. Now, the way I teach my students to do this in my one-on-one mentorship class, I'm going to post down below. This is essentially the most important part as far as property acquisition goes, because essentially what market research is the way I teach it. I teach my students to go on the Airbnb site directly, and basically we identify what market you're wanting to get into and the supply and demand of each market. Whether the market is demanding larger homes, or the supply is, oversupplied with larger homes and it's demanding smaller homes. So these are all things that we can directly see from the Airbnb website. There's no subscriptions needed or anything to get all of this data. It's all for free right there on the Airbnb website. The reason this is so important, because in the last step, when you do make your landing page, you want to make sure you're very clear and decisive with what target audience you are going to be serving. So whether it's going to be travel nurses or vacation families, or people for work, or event host or corporate workers, whatever it may be, you need to be very decisive and clear with what audience you're going to be targeting and serving. That way, like I said, because trust is the most important thing as far as the relationships go in the arbitrage world, because your landlords, you have to have a good relationship with them, because essentially they are a huge part of your business and they can make everything a lot worse very fast. So you want to be very clear and decisive with that, so there's no confusion. And the reason that's so important is because when you do the property acquisition and you go to reach out to these landlords, you want to make sure that you are building a solid foundation from the start as far as the relationship goes with that landlord. You also want to put their mind at ease a little bit and let them know that partnering with you on this deal and letting you use their home for your short-term rental needs, it's not going to be a problem for them. They're not going to have to be super hands-on, and there's never really going to be anything they have to essentially worry about. They want to have their mindset at ease, that they can be totally hands-off, collect their rent monthly on time. So you just want to be very clear with your intentions and just start off on a good foot with the landlord. Before I move on to step 4, I know some of you are probably thinking, well, why wouldn't the landlord or property manager or homeowner, why wouldn't they do this themselves? And a great way to think about this is, your boss doing your job. They simply either just don't have the time, they don't have the motivation, or the will just to do what you do. Most, bigger business owners, they want to be a lot hands-off. The way they get so successful is by delegating everything. So that's essentially what they're doing, is just delegating it off to you, letting you be the hands-on person, so they don't have to sit there and constantly worry about the headache of managing a property, etc. So just think about it like your boss working and doing your job. It's just something that they don't want to do, they don't have the time to do, or the will to do it. So now moving on to step 4 is getting your first yes. Now once you have registered your business, you have got your EIN number, registered your business name, as well as your Duns and Bradstreet number, and you also have your business PAYDEX score going. Then you have your business credibility, as long as you have a landing page and or a website. You have all those things going, and maybe even some social media pages. And then step 3, you have to identify your market. Identify, what city you're going to be going to and what type of properties you're going to be trying to pick up and what the market demands. Once you have all of these things figured out, then the next step is property acquisition. And you're just going to want to reach out to the landlords, properties in the city that you already have targeted and found out the demand. You're going to want to reach out to those landlords, set up some tours of the property, and then go pitch your business model in person, face to face during the tour. Now, I do teach this in my one-on-one mentorship course. I provide scripts and common ways to get over objections that you're going to run across when you go to these apartment buildings or even some landlords. Common objections and how to overcome them. This is all something I include in my one-on-one mentorship course. So click the link in the bio to schedule a 30-minute call with me, and we can go from there. But yeah, step 4 is just getting your first yes. So you're just going to want to dive in. Don't hesitate. You can't be too scared because you have to get your feet wet in order to get in the water. So just really focus on, setting up a lot of tours, and, don't set up tours for places you don't intend to move forward with. So be really specific with your market research and know exactly what you're going to be targeting. That way you just eliminate and save as much time as you possibly can. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to conclude all 4 steps. This is pretty much in a nutshell how to start an Airbnb in 2025. So I hope this helps. 2025 is going to be a huge year for Airbnb. It's supposed to break the travel record this year. So 2025 is going to be the biggest year for Airbnb so far. So don't listen to all the internet gurus out there telling you that Airbnb is falling off. Because that's what everybody just wants you to think, but the great host always survive. So there's a reason you can separate the good from the great, and the great will survive. So I teach you how to be great in my mentorship course, and on this channel I'm going to be dropping a lot of free game for you guys to use on your business journey. So I hope this video helps, and if you guys haven't already, like and subscribe. Comment on this video some questions you guys might have. I will answer them all in my next video. Please DM me on any of my social pages. I'd be more than happy to talk with you and answer any questions you might have. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, how to start an Airbnb in 2025. So yeah, man, I hope to see some new students and some new faces soon. And until next time, until the next video, peace.